I still cannot get over President-elect Donald Trump meeting for 62 minutes with a lecturing New York City mayor who was just browbeating him on everything that you can name, including the fact that New York, being a sanctuary city, it must recognize the rights of immigrants. Sanctuary cities are about coddling illegal immigrants, but that just sort of morphed into a lecture on how anti-immigrant Donald Trump presumably was, and that they had insult to injury, dissing big city employers that are complaining about vehicular or passenger traffic around their stores because of what's going on near their facilities at the Trump Center, at the Trump Tower. Tiffany and Gucci are not my major concerns right now. That is coming from the mayor of the city, who doesn't really regret the revenue that those stores bring into the city to do God knows what. Anyway, presidential historian Lee Edwards says this kind of thing and getting lectures from people coming in on the left and the right is all part of a transition process where the president-elect hears from everybody. So I guess it's to be expected, Lee, but man, oh man, his time is tight. 62 minutes with the mayor of New York? He's never going to get that back.
Well, you know, it used to be that a presidential elector had a honeymoon. You know, people would lay off of him for a couple of months or a couple of weeks, and now it's not even a couple of minutes. They're right at him like so many piranhas trying to chew up and bite off large pieces of Donald Trump.
What do you make of this transition process right now? Just so how Donald Trump, not what only he's doing, but the way his election victory is being greeted by many on the left, obviously protests, sometimes in Portland, outright riots, media more focused, it would seem, Professor, on problems he's having, even though, and you're the expert, this transition team building he's doing is no different or controversial than other president-elects who've done the same. What do you think?
Absolutely. But the difference, of course, is that we are, let's face it, we have to be honest about this, we are a divided nation with strongly held opinions about a wide variety of issues. And so particularly when you have both a popular vote victory and an electoral college victory, you're going to have this kind of reaction. Right. And I think particularly the media, maybe, you know, maybe, Neil, the media are feeling a little bit guilty because they helped to nominate him, and now they're convinced that he would be a disaster as president, and so they're taking him down at every possible possibility.
You know, Lee, what do you think of the fact, and we're going to discuss it later in the show, I mean, the way the Trump camp largely ignores the media or bypasses it. Even last night, a hullabaloo about him sneaking out for dinner and not telling anyone about it. And many are looking at this, to say nothing of the firings of some key people within the staff in the transition office, as a sign he's dangerous. He ignores the press. He's a wild card. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, he proved that he could win without them when he won the nomination. And now here we are, and really astounding many, many people. I mean, how many experts in the media, so-called, were able to call a victory for Donald Trump? And so here he is going to continue doing what he has done, which is to tweet when he wants to talk to the social media when he wants to, and occasionally perhaps to hand out a little offering to the mainstream media now and again, like the 60 Minutes interview, which I thought was quite fascinating.
Let me ask you finally about how you think this is going to go. Donald Trump doesn't strike me as a guy who will regularly hold press conferences. Maybe he will, because he's pretty good in those forums. But I think he so dislikes the media that he won't feel any compelling need to make regular media appearances here and there. Maybe what do you envision, and what's a good sort of rule of thumb? What?
Well, I think that if he has a formal press conference, you know, perhaps once a month, something like that. Nixon did not have an awful lot of them, nor did Reagan, for that matter. So I think that something like that, but continually reaching out. And he's communicating all the time. And as I say, through Twitter and through social media and other issues like that. So
So
I
he's
think that we will
bypassing
continue
the
to know.
media. He's going over the media's
is
head
bypassing
through
them.
tweeting out comments. That's interesting. You're right about that.
Exactly. I think he is, and I think he'll continue doing that because, let's face it, it worked for him.
Yeah, it did.
He's the president.
You know, you just put it brilliantly, Professor. He's president now, president-elect. So you're right about that. Lee Edwards, presidential historian. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Neil.